Hello, this is Pat the Wildlife Guy. Today, it's time to talk about groundhogs in the garden. Here we are, folks. I'm in the garden. These are beautiful bean plants, devastated by an hungry herbivore. You may be losing your sweet potatoes. You may be losing your broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, whatever it is. You're not happy about it if the groundhog's eating it up. You have tilled, you have fertilized, you have weeded, you may have mulched. You have sweated in that garden just like I'm sweating right now. So you see everything disappearing. You feel helpless. And you think to yourself, I'm going down to the feed and seed store and get me an affordable trap. Well, that's going to be a little more complicated than what you think. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There's a lot of reasons for that. I'm going to walk you through a few, give you a few techniques to help you improve your success. Well, here's one problem. Your garden is probably about a quarter acre, half acre of tasty groundhog buffet. What you have on the root there is fresh, crisp, and tasty. It is by nature what the groundhog wants. The cantaloupes are sweet and juicy. The beans are full of protein. There's carbohydrates. It's all right there, and it's the freshest, crispiest that it's ever going to be sitting there right there in your garden. If you take some withered, funky-looking little bait, corn or whatever you're going to throw in that trap, by nature, it's going to start to degrade as soon as you pick it and you throw it in that trap. So if that groundhog has gone over to the hill to hide out in his other hole and harass the neighbor's garden for a while, your bait is going to go to nothing while you're waiting. Maybe you forget the trap's just sitting out there and you forget to recheck your bait. And then the groundhog comes back, looks at it, and he says, I'm not touching that stuff. So what can you do? I've got a new technique I want to show you. It's called a drift fence. This is a drift fence right here behind me. Now, it's made of plastic, and you're probably saying to yourself, wildlife man, you're crazy. There's not any wimpy little plastic fence that's going to stop a groundhog. He's got a wonderful set of teeth that's going to cut his way right through that. Well, you're only half right. I am a little crazy, but that will work. The groundhog is going to wander, or should I say drift, down the length of the fence looking for a way to get in. When he gets to the trap, because it's a double door, it's going to look like an easy passage. Bam, you're going to have your groundhog. Well, I'm back down here at this trap, point out a few very important things. First of all, this is a commercial quality trap. This is not a cheap box store trap. You will not walk into your local box store, hardware store, and find one of these things. This thing is going to cost you about 4 or 5 times what a regular trap at box store is going to cost you. But it's worth every penny because this thing works. Now, I walk onto a lot of people's properties. They've already been trying to catch their groundhog. The trap's been fired, the door is down, no groundhog. They're not sure why. Well, if you look close at the trap, the door's buckled. Right down at the corner usually. Now, what's happened is groundhogs are like little furry four-legged linebackers. I mean, they're tough. They slam into things. And he has bashed that door until he buckled it and popped out. I have never had that happen to one of these traps. The doors are down, the animal's probably going to be in it. The other cool thing about this trap is, I've already kind of pointed out, double doors. Now, an animal is much more likely to walk into a trap if it feels like it can walk right back out the other side. They feel much more free to step in. Now, coolest thing I like about this trap is the trigger mechanism. Now you're looking at it. It's these wires right in the middle. Normally, in a regular trap, you're going to have a pedal right there in the floor. Animal walks in, steps on the pedal, bam, the doors fire. Now, on this trap, they push against this wire to fire the trap. Now, the reason that's better is that a lot of times animals will step right over that trigger plate. Now, you may have animals coming and going through your trap. You don't even know it because they're stepping over the plate. Now, pretty much on this trap, if you have an animal of any size press against those wires, he's going to fire it. You might squeeze some little teeny critter here, through there like a mouse, but I mean, who tries to catch a mouse with one of these things? I'm back down at our garden trap site here, and I came down yesterday after I set this up and added this rag. Now this rag does two things. First of all, it reduces trap stress for the animal. If the animal can't see it, it's not going to get upset. The animal's not going to be bouncing around in here and stroking out. So, it also protects you from skunks. If you accidentally pick up a skunk in the trap, it's a whole lot easier to deal with the problem if you have a rag on it beforehand. So, let's see what we got. There's our groundhog. Picked him up in one night. I'm really happy with that. Now, unfortunately, you're only halfway to solving your problem. At this point, you have your groundhog, and you have to do something with it. Now, the problem is, relocating the groundhog is not as humane as you might think. Lots of problems can go wrong for the groundhog and for you. Number one, you're moving the animal off of its burrow. It may be leaving its babies behind. It is leaving the security of its burrow behind. It's going to be wandering loose out in a field and have nowhere safe to go. It's likely to get killed or eaten before it finds a spot. It's off its known food sources. It has to rediscover new food sources. A lot of things can go bad. It's not as humane as you think. Also, it's illegal to move the groundhog. The state does not let the average homeowner just toss a groundhog in the car and move it down the road and let it go. It's a problem for other homeowners. You're moving a problem from your problem to someone else's property. It also can move diseases. This animal can be infected with diseases and move those diseases to another part of the country. It's best if you can find a more humane, find a better solution for this animal. So we're probably going to let this guy go. This was just a nice demo. If you guys have problems with your groundhogs on your property, give us a call. We'll be glad to come out and help you. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. This is Pat the Wildlife Guy.